Would we still need physical banks if blockchain takes over? But what about crypto's carbon footprint? Is technology progressing equality? A lot of really good questions here on today's episode of Word on the Block, the series that takes a deeper dive into blockchain and all the emerging technologies that shape our world at the intersection of business, politics, and economy. It's what we cover right here on Forkast.News. I'm Editor-in-Chief Angie Lau. Well, Taina Reis grew up in Brazil. She watched her mother take daily trips to the local bank, often spending hours at a time there. Taina would make a play bank at home, waiting for her mom to return. She promised that when she grew up, she would build the bank of all banks and make her mom proud. A bank that did not require all those long trips to a physical brick and mortar. And now that young, self-taught technologist who had a dream to build the bank of all banks is sitting with us right here today as the co-founder and CEO of blockchain financial services provider and neobank Moeda Seeds Bank, which offers banking service to the underserved entrepreneurs, women, farmers, and many more. Taina Reis, named one of the 12 young most innovative leaders to watch in Forbes in 2017, and joins us now. Taina, welcome to the show. You grew up in Brazil, and it's a real struggle. I think for our audience, it'd be great to understand, just from your perspective, how Brazil and how banking and how that part of the world really struggled with financial services.
Well, thank you for having me here. It's a super pleasure. Yes, growing up in Brazil has been challenging, and especially to see most of the women-owned businesses not getting a range of financial services that are tailor-made for their businesses, their ideas, and for them to thrive and to succeed along the way in their journey, being on as individuals, in informal businesses or larger businesses too, especially in the rural areas and as well as the communities, indigenous communities, quilombolas, and other minorities that are super deeply affected. Like the average person in Brazil don't have access to the majority of financial services that a wealthy person does. And this is, I figured that this is not only a Brazil problem, like in Latin America and Africa and Southeast Asia, many countries don't have the same. But also culturally, it's hard for women because Brazil is still a very machist country. So many of the wallet and the banking records are in the name of the husband usually, and the land and collaterals and things that they need to have access to larger credit or an affordable credit are usually in the name of the man on the house. So this becomes a problem when they look for credit and they don't get it. So I've seen many of the women struggling and trying to get access to credit through those department store cards. Like we're trying to have a credit to buy a machine for irrigate your coffee or other things and you end up like paying thousands of interest rates and crazy percentages for a department store because you don't have access to a credit card or financial service from the traditional industry. And also the education, the financial literacy that most don't have. So when you open a banking account, that is the first step, but also into identity to have an ID, and then to have the education, proper education to start a business and to build a business plan and to applicate the money on the long term. Many of them, they don't know. Like I grew up even being privileged in a school that was like private school. I didn't got access to that as well. Like in Brazil, the focus was not into being an entrepreneur, but to have those careers into the government or either like into other industries, but they never focused on entrepreneurship. So for me, as growing up, was a struggle too, and even having access to other companies and friends, like was hard to raise venture capital for my business as being young and women in Brazil. That is hard too. So I found into cryptocurrencies the first way to get access to finance, to be able to finance the business that we have today, thanks to blockchain. We were able to raise on an ICO, an initial coin offer, the funding that was required to build Moeda. So, so that for me was an opportunity that, like, raising $20 million, like, or would be equivalent to a Series A in 2017, was hard thing to do. So in 2 weeks we were able to raise it, and still, like, going amazing.
No, I mean, you kind of list all of the frustrations that you're experiencing, you know, from traditional finance to a largely patriarchal system in Brazil and Latin America that really restrict access to finance for women. And then you place upon that just kind of these social expectations that, you know, you're not necessarily expected to be an entrepreneur. You're, you know, and the system is not set up to support that kind of ambition. And so here you are creating access to liquidity that funds ideas, a new sort of thinking of a bank. It's kind of, you know, what we are seeing with a lot of projects like Moeda. Uniquely in Latin America, there's just a lot of, help us understand just kind of politically what the frustrations are as well for the average everyday person to be able to access funding, to be able to actually do the everyday necessity of banking.
Yeah, so today is a big time of uncertainty, and when the COVID hit, bring another level of uncertainty to the people. Both investors that are looking to that kind of impact investment, they don't trust a lot. Like, they want to help, but they don't know why, but they want to verify as well as the business is going. So by the first time, like 5 years ago, when I presented at the UN, like a couple of ideas related to Moeda, that like, if you want to invest in someone in Brazil, in a cooperative in Brazil, in a small businesses in Brazil, and people will tell me, no, your politics, this and that is too risky for me, I cannot do it. So I told them, like, oh, if we present this application through the app, you can see, like, step by step to the business, how much they will be spending, their KPIs. Would you invest if you trust the whole thing? And they said, yes, if I can see it in real time, like what they are doing, I would invest and where my money is going. So we created all those metrics, and I started to see early on the Bitcoin and the underlying technology of blockchain to build that trust. So as more information that we share, more impact metrics that we have, and everything that is needed for the people to build that trust, that's what I found the most meaningful part of the blockchain technology, to build that along the way, and to be able to measure how many jobs we made, and how that's the carbon footprint, and how sustainable it is, the crop that people are investing, and to cut the middleman. So today people can invest, like, you can create the account in Moeda, and in 3 clicks you'll be able to invest in a women-owned business. And it's as little as $1.50, like less than a coffee in the airport. So now there is no barrier. With that technology, we can make it easier and affordable for people that are looking for those kinds of investments to make to do good and do well. That doesn't need to be a trade-off. You can have the financial returns as well as the impact, social and environmental return. And through the model, through those years, we have proven that, and you are able to verify through the blockchain. So those things are important for building that bridge of trust in a country like Brazil, where it is like too risky for the most of people.
Tell us how Moeda actually works. How when you kind of structured the bank, how did you want it to work? What is the philosophy behind it, and what are the step-by-steps when people want to bank at Moeda?
Yeah, the philosophy and our mission is to humanize finances and distributed impact. The main idea is to get like access to capital and access to affordable capital and education to the ones that most need in Brazil, and particular, and we give the preference to the women. We don't exclude men, but their preference. So we curate projects our team can help, from business plan to co-branding, and to think through niche markets and how to put in place services and products. And we can go and guide all through the way through our partners as well. So people can reach out to us and be signed up in one of those programs. We have gamified way to do this microcredit. So even if the women doesn't have any credit history at all, they can come, invite all other 5 women, and those will be the support group for her into the journey. They will receive daily quests and KPIs, not only financial KPIs, but also if they reinvest on the women and they hire more women, so they will benefit together through this journey. So we created economic incentives with tokens along the way, so they can receive the benefit of doing good within the ecosystem. And in the other side, for people that want to do the impact investment, super affordable way to do it, and easily with all the transparency and trust, they can come and look to those projects into our website, create an account, and invest right away, either to the cryptocurrency or if it's in Brazil through deposits. And we also have a partnership with MasterCard. We are part of the Start Path program. So the people in Brazil do receive a prepaid card, and we can track and monitor and verify all the expenses into that too, to bring all the certainty that is needed, that they are applying the money for the reasons that they are within the program. And as well as we do the metrics and calculate all the gender equality aspects and everything that by the level of the transactions into that too. And on the COVID, we launched a payment gateway for marketplaces. So that was the biggest line of credit that we offer, because we do anticipate everything that they gain from the marketplace, and also other contracts from supermarkets that pay them in 90 days, we anticipate for 1 day. So that was the biggest line of credit that grew and helps them to plant the crops and like other things. So from one technology, I see all connected in how we can help and support with a single account and an ID, like how much benefit they can have both on the marketing side and access to more capital and guarantees that they can build upon the time as well, their credit with us, and have more and more opportunities.
What did blockchain and tokenization in crypto allow you to do as a bank that perhaps a traditional bank could not do?
Yes. The first thing, as I mentioned, was the funding that came from a non-traditional way. So to build up the bank was able to do through an initial coin offer, the ICO that we made. But after that, like with the currency that we have created and all the steps, like with cross-chain into different protocols. Today we use Ethereum protocol for the main currency, the Stellar protocol for the stable currency. With the stable currency, it's easier for the adoption for the people, but we can measure at the level of the transaction, like each dollar, each euro, each reais, each Bitcoin that is going to the project, how many jobs that created, and the social and environmental impact by the transaction. So brings another level, an extra level of oversharing information that can help to build trust along the way. People want to help, but they want to verify that help. Even for the ESG aspects, people want to know, oh, I'm planting trees. I'm like saving this and this person. Like where are the trees? Where are the people?
Absolutely.
And how is
accountability.
The impact? So we can absolutely, for accountability is the key. I see into blockchain. Even now we have the COP26 and like many discussions on climate change, like to hold every country accountable and every individual accountable as well. We can benefit from this technology over time. Like we do see opportunities to create different economic models and assets that are sustainable over time, that can embrace what we do with coffee, what we do with plantations and crops, and even Amazonia. We just launched recently an NFT. Like we see like those types of assets like evolving to different economic models that can benefit in the long run.
It's a disruptive idea. There's zero doubt about it. The adoption is incredible, especially in Latin America. And it can also be viewed as a little dangerous if you are government. What is the view of Brazil, and what is the view of the political class, the government, as it pertains to the speed in which crypto is being embraced, and Bitcoin, etc., versus what it's trying to do with its own real and its own fiat money?
The government has been very proactive. The market regulator has created a sandbox, and has been a lot of work done in a progressive way from the government, but it still is in a governmental pace. So it takes longer to adapt and to accept innovation as we would wish, because like things happen so quickly, and especially on the crypto side of the market, NFTs, like and the metaverse and decentralized finance, the government will be slowly to catch up. But I do see as being benefit to create a framework for guidance for the ones that want to do good and use that technology for the good being highlighted, and those experiences being broadcast into other countries that have the same challenges. Like people before, we used to see just the speculative side, like with the tradings and currencies, which the government is still afraid to protect investors and really make sure that the people are not taking too much risk or being scammed. Like, so the government wants to protect that, but it would be also good to create those regulatory frameworks where companies like mine do feel comfortable to create and innovate and being disruptive as we can, like under those frameworks. So I do see with good eyes there. They should be faster.
Well, you know what? I think that is definitely the tension that exists right now. It's this dance, this very delicate dance between regulators and innovators such as yourself, and I think both will agree that one needs each other at the end of the day. For the growth in the industry, for mass adoption in the industry. But one thing about mass adoption that I wanted to ask you about was definitely one of the biggest Bitcoin news this year, El Salvador's recognition of Bitcoin as legal tender. Since then, we've seen a lot of Latin American nations and politicians even voicing support and even hinting at the possibility of following suit and adopting Bitcoin as a currency. What is the public perception of Bitcoin and crypto in Latin America? If you could kind of share with us this perspective, and why what is it growing up even for yourself, and just also the instability of the system in Latin America that kind of lends to this interest in potentially using Bitcoin as a national currency?
Yes, now that more institutions and global institutions are looking differently at blockchain and Bitcoin, people are perceiving in a more positive aspect after Elon Musk, and also, as you mentioned, El Salvador, like declaring the things like is super positive, but you do need to create the infrastructure as well. Like you can announce, okay, everybody, like we are ready to accept Bitcoin, but who will hold the private keys, and who help the people to understand the risk of holding or not holding their own private keys? Like, so there are many underlying aspects that people are not teaching how to use it, and this can be a risk too. You gotta be prepared, not only with the announcement, but also with the infrastructure necessary for people to use that for good. So that's where I see like the technologies we have been building to kind of be this bridge, like for institutions and other fintechs that do want to accept and enter into this world and want to do the custody and like have all the safe and secure methods. They can come to us like today, and like we can support because we have been on this journey and to navigate in both industries. But you need to prepare the people with education, because it still is environment and a market that has like hundreds of thousands of coins that and projects that do good, and other projects that you need to study and see the risk of them too. So I see as super positive that people look at to cryptocurrencies now with a different eye, because they see not the just the speculative part, but now they see the technology as being benefit for the accountability, to track and measure products, logistics, and other things that people would not have access before to be happening. But I do see the government supporting the people with education and infrastructure to join this movement. Everybody will be benefit to that.
All right, and Tena, you just told us that you needed to move to secondary locations, so I'm going to let you do that. But I know you're still listening, and I want to ask you this question about ESG. There are just a lot of real interest about crypto and the carbon footprint that it also has on the environment and the like, and those concerns. How are you mitigating those concerns? And I think you're back in place, right, Tena? All right. Great.
Yes.
Thank you so much. What are those ESG concerns? What are those carbon footprint concerns that you're trying to be thoughtful about, and how you potentially could help mitigate?
Yes, no, absolutely, especially now with the COP26 and people being aware about the climate change consequences that will affect all of us, not only people from the government that are now deciding, but all of us. And it's into the small decisions, the daily decisions, that we can do the change, being investment decisions or consumption, the product consumption decision. So if we can look to products today that they do less impact in our environment and benefit more people to support in our environment, those are the products that we should be buying, and investments that we should be making into companies that do benefit Amazonia and to do benefit, like to protect other areas like in the world. And yes, we can, through blockchain, like overshare those informations. I think every information is good, being public or being given by the companies in a strategic way. We have Dow Jones Sustainability. We have like many stock markets that are now looking to implement metrics and indexations and algorithms to support those companies and to be highlighted. But there is a lot to do to include ESG assets into the common people portfolio. And that's what we have been trying to do, and being democratic in a way that people can invest and access that kind of sustainable green assets. The carbon credit is not regulated in many countries, and it's not existent in many countries as well. Creating a global framework and a global marketplace for the carbon credits, that will be amazing, but not only to compensate carbon, but also to invest in people to protect the areas. We need to look into those things as well. Like you can plant trees in a billionaire's farm, but also will be good to help the small agriculture farm holders to protect their farm and not only planting monoculture, but also bringing syntropic and like other types of cultivation for the crops that are more sustainable over time. So there is a lot to do, but yes, the technology can support and help on a daily basis.
Absolutely, because there's a flexibility and a speed in which you can enter these partnerships one of the partnerships that you mentioned is with Brazilian forestry manager 3Agro to create NFTs out of tokenizing the production of freeze-dried acai, for example, to help preserve the Amazon rainforest.
Yes.
These are the actual things that you could offer up customers and create a community around it. And I think that that's really one of the really important aspects of blockchain and crypto, is that there really is a community feeling around it. And because of smart contracts and because of, obviously the smart contract nature of the functionality of some of these protocols means that I can trust that when I say that I'm investing or that I want to participate in it, it's actually being done.
Yes, no, absolutely. We were pioneers into that. Was the first NFT for the Amazonia rainforest region. So by purchasing one NFT, the investor can get access not to plant 1,200 trees, acai trees in that region is equivalent to 1 hectare, but also participate in the revenue of the sales of the acai pounder product in the end of every 6 months. So that is one of the economic models that we can see how sustainable that can be through the future, not only for compensate carbon credit, but also to support entrepreneurs into the region to continue in their businesses in a sustainable way. They plant not only acai, but like a range of other things into a syntropic way, which is super sustainable for the crop, brings more nutrients, and people can get to see like how other practices can be sustainable. We can share that, and the investors will benefit not only with the financial returns into the project, but also contribute in a sustainable way for the Amazon. So those types of assets I'm passionate to build like technology and to see that to support people and individuals and businesses, especially in the areas that need it the most. Yeah.
Taina, I kind of want to bring it back full circle because, it all started with the frustration you felt as a little girl growing up in a system that disenfranchised a lot of people, disenfranchised a lot of women, and, kind of railroaded a lot of people into a traditional structure. You recently spoke at Hong Kong FinTech Week, along with myself and so many great leaders in blockchain. How has this become a global phenomenon that allows you to take this idea that was really seeded in Brazil and bring it to an international audience? What's your vision there, and how do you view Asia?
Yeah, I see that is a lot of courage and persistence because it's like in our expansion plan, now I feel ready because we develop so many like beautiful technology to do and to be that bridge between the traditional way and to people to get access and the adoption to be quick with a well-designed app, but also the other way to access the crypto world and to bring crypto to those challenges and issues in the real world too. So connecting and creating that bridge between the metaverse and the real world. Like I do see today, we have the proper infrastructure to do so, and we want to bring to other countries, Latin America and Asia. Like most of our investors today are from Asia, and I'm super thankful for that because one day I asked a question to one of our investors, why did you invest in Moeda? Like the thing will be like in the other side of the world. And he said to me, like, if you put this, what you wrote on the white paper, if this works, like my 4th generation can be benefit from that. And that's why I invested on you. And I found was so beautiful because he could see like in a long term, the vision of helping not just one generation, but he told me the 4th generation. So I was a very special moment that I do see in a long term how things that we are creating in a collaborative way, and like being able now to share with other our experience and our technology with other countries. This for me is where my heart is today, is into building technology to serve people, and that is aligned with my personal mission as well. So I do see as a bigger and broader like opportunity for many people that can benefit of what we do today. And I'm very excited to now to expand what I have done.
Well, it's amazing to see how far you have come since, those many years ago in 2017, the ICOs, that a lot of people during that phase, didn't have projects that survived, and yours did. And what you've created is now starting to reach an international audience. But I think it just boils down to that dream that you had, which is we can do better. And when we think about that, it's all about access. It's can we give people better access? And I think you've definitely started us on that journey, and what we're seeing in Brazil. So good for you. What's next? What's next for you?
Next right now is to expand. I can't wait to see our technology benefiting other people and bringing more projects from all over the world to our portfolio, and to share the learnings and experiences with people from all over the world. I do see in Africa, in like Southeast Asia, and India and Latin America, will do so well, like to contribute to other companies, fintechs, payment providers. I do want to see the gender calculator being everywhere into other marketplaces, so people can get to know the products they are buying and how it's benefiting women and how this is being sustainable. I want to see people on a daily basis not thinking about impact investment in the future. They will just do it naturally because it's part of their day-to-day portfolio of average banking products. I want to see my children and my grandchildren showing me, Mom, this is my NFT, see my drawings, see the music, see I'm helping the Amazonia, like a range of a beautiful NFT gallery that I would see like in the future, like connecting to many worlds and many people and connecting them to do good together. Like many of the challenges that can be gamified and benefit the real world in a sense of a collective work towards many of the objectives that we see, not only in climate change, but ending poverty, hunger, many of the things that are possible with technology and with people being the humans that are behind the technology and supporting that to cooperate and for the greater good.
To say that it is rare to hear this kind of language coming from the CEO of a bank is is probably a little understated, but this is what this technology brings, which is a different choice, and different perspectives, and also important philosophies that a lot of people resonate with. And if that's your consumer who are sharing liquidity with you based on that, it's a whole redefinition of this space. Taina Reis of Moeda Bank, thank you so much for sharing the story, your vision, what's happening in Brazil, Latin America, how that also translates to Southeast Asia and large swaths of Asia that we're also seeing with so many people unbanked. And really giving us a glimpse of the future of banking. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's a pleasure.
Taina, thank you so much. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us on this latest episode of Word on the Block. I'm Editor-in-Chief Angie Lau. Until the next time.